Hello, Math 213 Lab for Statistics students. This is a video. It's the accompanying video that goes along with your Math 13 elementary stats video. We're going to pretty much have the same discussion here. I'm going to show you around your Math 213 Lab for Stats course shell. I will also take this opportunity to remind you that during the first 3 days, you must turn in your first assignment, your first quiz, and your first discussion. Students who do not turn in that first discussion are going to be dropped. Yes, you will be dropped from the class if you do not respond to that first discussion post. This is how I determine no-shows from those of us who are ready to work for the balance of the semester. So follow me now over to my stat labs, and we'll see how this thing works. Let me share my screen. All right, so Math 9607 and Math 9613, they go along with 9606 and 9612. In fact, you can enroll in the 9606 unless you're in my 9607. You can't be part of my 9612 unless you're part of my 9613. So let's take a look at the 9607, same for the 9613. Now, the organization here is very, very similar to your lab, to your stat course. There are some significant differences though. So let me go right to the modules and talk about the organization here. First, part 0. You'll note the same sister assignment, quiz, and discussion that you have with your Math 13 course. Yes, it needs to be done twice, as I pointed out in that other video over there. So it's very easy to do. And again, it's really designed to help you get used to utilizing all the tools that we have at our disposal here. And there are a lot of them. Now, as I say, this class follows the Math 13 class, and it's really designed to support that class. So we look at basic skills that we'll need to successfully complete the Math 13 class, and we'll also work an awful lot on developing some of the appropriate mindset that that active mind, the active learner, the engaged student that we really want to see here, because honestly, learning is going to be up to you. You'll see that I have 4 modules here, and those 4 modules literally match the 4 modules over in the other course. However, once we get inside them, there's significant differences. So let me take a look at the first module. You'll have access to this tomorrow morning. So we have a video and a discussion to engage in. There will be a due date. We'll have quite a large, we'll have a fair amount of time to conduct these discussions. They're not by any means a race against the clock. We have review material. And the review material here should be material that supports our work in the Math 13 course. You'll turn material here in very much the same way that you turn in material in the Math 13 course. There is a problem set here. You're going to take an image and submit that image, probably multiple images in a single submission. So there are assignments that are designed to review. There is a chapter review. One of the ways I like to support the students in the Math 13, 213 combo of classes is to move a lot of the review that we would be cramming into the 13 into the 213 class. So you'll see a lot of review here as opposed to over there. You want to do it both places, or do it here, I should say, and apply it over there. So we do our chapter review and our vocabulary, most of that work over here, not over there, and you'll see that as we work our way through the semester. You'll see the first module contains 1, 2, 3 video discussions that I'll be taking a look at. These are graded. You'll be expected to answer and reply. There are actual word counts, I believe, for some of the discussions. So it's more than just a rote reply or yeah, hi, hello. You're actually going to need to try to be engaged, if you will, in these discussions. So that's the way the lab course works. And ideally, as I said a couple times already, it really needs to support the Math 13 class. This should not be an extra added burden. It really needs to be augmentative in nature. Now, in addition to the fact that it's supportive of the Math 13 course and the fact that it's set up quite a bit differently, it's also assessed quite a bit differently. There is no final exam. This is a lab course. I grade you on the balance of material you submit. Students submitting 60% of the material or more successfully and getting reasonable grades therein, 60% of the points, if you get those points, you pass the class with a P. If you don't get 60% of the points, if you get something less than that, you will not pass this particular lab, you'll get an F for fail. So it's not an A, B, C, D, E, or F, or whatever. No, no, no. It's literally pass or fail based on the amount of points you submit, 60% or more, 59% or less. And there we have it. So let me go ahead and take a look at the student view and let you see what you currently see on your review of this particular course. So here's your student view. You've got access to your syllabus, modules, and as I say, currently you only have access to that first module, and you can see the due dates in there already. Really, do not hesitate, do not wait, do not procrastinate. It doesn't work that way very well here this semester. Online learning can be a pain. You're left alone to do an awful lot. You really don't have access to the peer group in the way you have had historically. On the other hand, you've never been more electronically connected to everyone and everything. That is both a curse and a real asset. So anyway, we'll work our way through this semester. I hope to hear from you. I'll set up ways to reach out to me. We'll be having regular Zoom office hours available to the students that want and need them. Let me stop the sharing now and get things ready to go for tomorrow. And we're going to hit the ground running. Don't fall down. All right, goodbye. Go away and come back rested, and we'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.